As I'm writing this sentence, we're still 2 full months away from the June 5th release date of the Nintendo Switch 2, but apparently it's not too early to prepare for the upcoming system by looking at the cases that you may want to consider buying. To be clear, I'm talking about cases as in protective cases and grip cases, the kind that wrap around or attach to the Switch 2, and not carrying cases or bags. Cool? Cool. First up is the Killswitch case from dbrand. They have versions of this case for a bunch of the PC handhelds, the Steam Deck, ROG Ally, Legion Go, and now they're making one for the Nintendo Switch 2. This is a pretty intriguing case to me as it seems to do it all. Provide protection, a more ergonomic grip while playing, and allow for transportation in a bag without the need for a carrying case with that optional front cover. There are some concerns and question marks though. I'm not sure how I feel about the front cover being see-through. My first instinct is to worry that the games being visible would make the console a more tempting target for theft, but then it's pretty obvious already that it's a valuable gaming console, so it's already a big target even without the games. I also wondered how the dock adapter would be able to quote maintain the OEM cooling unquote, since the fan would presumably be blocked by the front of the dock, but I erroneously assumed that the dock fan blows into the console, but apparently that's not the case as clarified by dbrand. And while it's great that the Joy-Cons can be detached without having to remove the case, I'm a tiny bit concerned about those individual pieces staying attached. The biggest concern for me though is the price. Looking at the Steam Deck version, the cost ranges from $60 all the way up to $103 depending on the inclusions. I'm not sure how this will translate to the Switch 2 version, but for me, even the $60 price is a little bit too high, and that bundle doesn't include the front cover or the dock adapter. With those two included, the price goes up to around $83, way too rich for my blood. I'm also pretty sure that dbrand doesn't have an official presence here in the Philippines, so if I ever bought one of these, I'd probably have to pay quite a lot for shipping too. Let me know if I'm wrong about that, or alternatively, please send me one of these to review dbrand, pretty please. Up next is Skull & Co, and this gives us a good chance to look at my current Switch 1 setup as it's pretty much all Skull & Co. I used to have their OG grip case alongside a max carry case, but I found the whole setup too big and unwieldy, so I replaced it with their Neo Grip and EDC case. The Neo Grip is supposed to be dockable, but I found that alongside a tempered glass screen protector, this wasn't really the case, so I also picked up their Jump Gate dock. I'm pretty happy with the setup, although there were a couple of issues. First, my Switch does this thing where it just randomly wakes up without any inputs while docked into the jump gate. And second, the Neo Grip has these silicone pads on the inside, presumably for the friction fit onto the console, but they eventually started coming off, so I had to super glue them back on. So now let's look at Skull & Co.'s offerings for the Switch 2. For some reason, they're going by the name Savage Raven by Skull & Co. now. I think they might be looking to rebrand, but don't want to give up the name recognition of their previous branding just yet. Anyway, they've got two case options, the Neo Grip and the Stand Grip. They're already up for pre-order, with the former coming in at $30 discounted from $50 and the latter at $17 discounted from $27. The Neo Grip seems to be pretty similar to the Switch 1 version, all polycarbonate that's primarily for grip and not so much for protection, since it leaves quite a lot of the console uncovered. The Stand Grip seems to be their version of the Killswitch that we looked at earlier, complete with optional front cover. It's quite a lot cheaper even with the front cover, but you do have to make a few sacrifices. The Stand Grip is one singular piece, so you can't actually disconnect the Joy-Cons without removing the case first, unlike the Killswitch. There's also no opening for the Switch 2 stand, no slots for the games with the front cover, and no dock adapter. I've always wanted to check out the Zen Grip from Satisfye, but I found them hard to acquire here in the Philippines. Well, Satisfye is coming out with a Zen Grip 2 for the Switch 2, and I'd love to be able to review it. Wink wink, hint hint, Satisfye. The Zen Grip is similar to the Neo Grip from Skull & Co. in that it's more so about the grip and less about protection. The big distinguishing feature of the Zen Grip though is the offset on the right grip, which is supposedly better than a symmetrical design since the right stick is in a different position than the left one. It looks like they've also updated the design to make it dockable, which is great, but here's hoping it works with a tempered glass screen protector. The Zen Grip 2 is listed at $50 without a carrying case and $70 with one. That's cheaper than what the Killswitch would presumably cost, but it's still a little high. Spigen currently has 4 case options for the Switch 2. The rugged armor is a $40 single-piece TPU case, similar to the stand grip from Skull & Co/Savage Raven. The Air Fit is a 3-piece clear polycarbonate case coming in at $35. The dual grip is made of both TPU and polycarbonate and is dockable unlike the previous 2 cases. It costs the same as the rugged armor at $40. The Nano Pop is also $40 and also features a 3-piece design allowing for detaching the Joy-Cons. There's conflicting information regarding the material composition of the case, as the product page says under the materials section that it's silicone, while the features section says it's a polycarbonate and TPU mix. It looks like a hard case based on the photos, which would mean polycarbonate, but perhaps there's some TPU cushioning in there as well. If money and availability were no object, I think I would pick the dbrand Killswitch as my Nintendo Switch 2 case of choice. Like I said earlier, it just seems to do everything that I need. Of course, we live in the real world, so the safest bet is probably the Neo Grip from Skull & Co/Savage Raven. I've used the OG Switch version for a while now, so I know that I like it, and it's quite a bit cheaper and should be more readily available here in the Philippines. Of course, I would love to test and review any and all of these cases, or even any others that might come out in the future. So please hit me up, brands. What do you think about these cases? Which one is your pick? Is there a case from a different brand you're looking forward to? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching.